Hey, what's going on, testifiers all over the world? This is your boy Testify to the Music, aka Mikey Savage 21, bring you another Testify Talks. And I know it's been a very, very long time since I posted a Testify Talks or a Testify Reviews. I apologize for that. I had been getting more so into movie reviews, but of course I cannot forget what you guys really came here for, which is the Testify Talks and the Testify Reviews. But just know that I do have my review for Tedashi's EP this time around coming up soon. And then I also have the spoiler review with a bunch of YouTubers coming as well for Captain America Civil War. But with that being said, let's jump into today's topic. In today's topic, we're going to be talking about simply the effects of bullying and cyberbullying and what they can cause, some negatives, and really just give a brief overview of my experience with bullying and cyberbullying as well. This video is actually inspired by another YouTuber. Her name is Canadian Gamer Girl. She's also known as Gamer Girl. She did a video about a month or so ago, and I've been dragging my feet about it, but she did a video a month or so ago just going really in detail about her, how, bullying and how it's affected her. And then I know Geekdom 101, he's done multiple speakdoms where he's talked about how he was picked on. So I wanted to give my little take and put my own little personal story in here and just give you guys a bit of an insight to how I was affected by bullying and cyberbullying and how it affected me to this day, even in my adulthood. So without wasting any more time, let's get straight into the video. So first thing I want to say is, bullying, in case you guys don't know, is any form of picking on someone, whether you think it's just goofing around or whether you're just messing with somebody and you don't really mean any harm by it. You don't know how that person is feeling or while they woke up in the morning or how exactly they're going to take it. I know for me, one recurring thing that used to always hurt my feelings, but people just, thought it was a joke or they would shrug it off, was people used to call me an Oreo. And for you guys who don't know what that terminology is, an Oreo is saying that I'm black on the outside but white on the inside, meaning I am physically black on the outside but I act like a white person on the inside. I've heard that mentioned multiple times. I've also been called an inside out Oreo as well, which is kind of confusing, but I've been called both an Oreo and an inside Oreo, along with multiple other names. Growing up, I always mostly hung around the white kids, and it wasn't because I didn't want to hang out with the other black kids. It's because the other black kids didn't really want to talk to me. I wasn't into rap music growing up. I wasn't really into basketball and football and sports and stuff. And most of the blacks growing up in my neighborhood and growing up in my schools, they were into sports. And they were just into different things than I was. I was more so into, Disney movies and comic books and Dragon Ball Z and things of that nature. At that time, it was uncool, to like Dragon Ball Z or to like anime, Pokemon, Digimon, all of that stuff. It was uncool at the time. Now we have a generation who is like, oh, okay, you read comic books, that's cool. Same thing with playing video games. Oh, you play video games, that's cool. But back then, I got really picked on for that. And I also got picked on for how I was dressed. And then this is dwelling a little bit inside to my life. My mom pretty much picked out my outfits for me and dressed me until I was up until about 5th, 6th grade. Then I started actually going shopping with her. But when I got to 7th grade, I actually physically started picking out my own clothes and going shopping on my own because kids would often make fun of me. Saying that, oh, you dress like a white boy, you're not wearing name brand jeans, you're wearing these kind of jeans, oh, you need to be wearing this, oh, your shoes don't match your shirt. And so all of that, kind of affected me. And then, of course, people are going to argue, but Mike, we heard that you were popular in high school. We heard that you were popular and that you did have friends. Yes, I did have lots of friends, but I also had a lot of people who claimed to be my friends, but at the same time, they were just slowly trying to tear me down and bring me down and pick on me. I think one of the biggest moments for me dealing with bullying would probably be in 7th grade, where someone literally did not like me that much that they paid somebody else to fight me and me and the guy got into a fight, and I mean, we ended up becoming great friends after. But the person that paid him, I asked him, I said, why would you pay someone to fight me? I said, do you hate me that much? And he just couldn't give me a direct answer, but he made it along the lines of, well, I don't like black people who don't hang out with other black people and who kind of turn their back on their own race. Now, again, I want to stress that I do not particularly prefer one type of race over another. I am colorblind, not in a literal sense, but I am colorblind to color. I don't care what color you are, what race you are, what denomination you are. It does not matter to me. I don't care what social class you are. I don't even care what you believe in. I'll still be friends with you, and I'll still treat you like I would any other human being, because at the end of the day, we're all the same on the inside, and we were all created by our Father up in heaven. So the fact that he would just say, well, you turn your back on your own race. It's not that I turned my back on my own race. What it is I wasn't into the things that they were in, so they paid me no attention and didn't even give me the time of day to even to pretty much even say, well, you know what, man, well, let's take an interest in what you like. I would have been willing, to play sports with them and everything and chat with them, but they never asked. And every time when I would go up to them and ask, I would always just be, shrugged off. And so the whole Oreo thing followed me all the way into high school, and it followed me to college as well. I think the worst experience I ever had in college with that, but of course the person didn't know that it hurt my feelings. So if they're listening to this YouTube video, congratulations, you now know you did hurt my feelings by this. But I was a freshman in college, and I went to ASU, Alabama State University in Montgomery, and that's a predominantly black college. It's an HBCU. And I remember I was on the top third floor in the dorm room, and I, used to listen to all types of music. I was into rap music at the time. I wasn't as heavily into Christian rap at the time. I was slowly starting to get there. But I liked everything. And growing up, and even to college, my favorite artist was Justin Bieber. Because I had a prior, musical relationship with him to where, he helped mentor me and helped give me facts and tips about how I could improve as an artist. But I'll get to that another day. But I remember I used to just play his music a lot because I would dig this music. I thought it was kind of cool. And I remember one day I was coming down the hallway, coming back from class, and I don't even remember his name, but some black guy, he stopped me that was on the hall and said, "We don't allow your kind on this floor." Now, of course, I was like, what does he mean by that? Does he mean I'm an alien or something? And I was like, what do you mean by that? He's like, "We don't allow your kind on this floor. We don't allow white people on this floor." And I was like, sir, the last time I checked in the mirror, I was black, but maybe you're colorblind and you just can't see the color black, which... It's possible. But no, he's like, no, what I mean by that is you be playing that white folks music in your music, and we don't like that on this hallway, And then I simply told him, I was like, well, look, just because I don't bump my head to Lil Wayne and 2 Chainz and some of these other guys that I don't too much care for, I respect what they do, and I respect them as artists, and they have their fan base. But just because I don't tend to listen to them or want to bump their music all the time, that's no reason for you to call me white or anything. And so I just shrugged it off, and I was just like, well, hey, last time I checked in the mirror, I was black, but hey, I'll definitely go give it a look again and make sure. But I remember, he walked past me, he gave me that look like, you don't belong here, And I've gotten that look before multiple times, both from, whites and from blacks as well, that whole look of you don't belong here. And, it's hard growing up with seeing that, because it's like, well, I don't know exactly where I fit in. You guys heard me talk about a video I did months and months back called "Where Do I Fit In" on YouTube. Well, essentially, that's how it was. I didn't know exactly where I fit. I didn't know what social group to hang out with, because if I hung out with whites, then I got called an Oreo. If I hung out with blacks, then whites would label me as gangster or hood and whatnot. So I ultimately ended up just falling somewhere in the middle with that, because I had a multitude of friends who were both black and who were white. But I mean, it was kind of hard But I remember going back to my room, and I remember it didn't make me cry or anything. But I remember it really did hurt because, again, growing up hearing that, and you come home and you tell your mom, what is an Oreo? They've been calling me Oreo. They've been calling me names. They've been picking on me, because I hang out with white kids and everything. And so I also remember the black kids, they used to adamantly pick on me about my clothes growing up as well, which has affected me into my adulthood now, along with the choices of music that I listen to as well. I can honestly say, growing up, I liked rock music. I was really into Maroon 5. I liked Eiffel 65, growing up with them. I would listen to Backstreet Boys occasionally and NSYNC occasionally. And I did listen to some rap, music, but not that much, not as much as I listen to now. And I'm not saying that that's necessarily anybody's fault because, again, at the end of the day, I make my own choices. But I know growing up, if I didn't choose rap music, then I got labeled a white person, and then people picked at me and labeled me for it, and it hurt. And it hurt growing up with that label, all of my life. And so, again, and I've had a multitude of experiences where, I've been called out, and I've even had friends that I'm still friends with today who will still call me an Oreo, or they'll say, you're the whitest black person that I know. And it still kind of does hurt, even though I know they're joking and they're my friends, it still hurts. Because what does it really mean to be black, and what does it really mean to be white, or what does it mean to be Hispanic, or what does it mean to be Oriental or Asian? I mean, you can't really describe a particular race. I mean, again, everybody's different, but we're all the same on the inside. I mean, just because I'm black, that doesn't mean that I like to go around eating fried chicken and having watermelon and rolling down the street with 20s, on my car, music blasting real loud, always toting this and toting that. And just, and that also doesn't mean just because I like to hang out with whites, that means I like to wear rebel flags and put on cowboy boots and dip and smoke and do all these other things. I mean, we tend to put these labels on particular races of people when we really shouldn't do that. I mean, because again, just because somebody, is white, or just because someone's black, that's not a reason for you to label them, or you're this or you're that. I mean, how would you like it if someone went and just started throwing labels and putting them all over you? Because essentially that's what you're doing. You're putting labels over people. But I know for me, getting back to the subject of bullying and everything, it really, really used to hurt, growing up, when kids would tease me about my clothes just because I wasn't dressing like the other hip hop stars, and I had white kids pick on me too, but all of that, it just really started culminating. And I remember when I got to the 7th grade, I made the conscious decision to say, you know what? F it. I said, anybody who wants to mess with me, anybody who wants to start any drama or BS with me, you know what? I'm going to start fighting back. And I remember that's exactly the year also where I almost lost my mama to a coma. So I also was dealing with that as well. But then having to deal with the fact that I was being bullied and picked on about who I hung around, the way I talked, the way I dressed and everything. That was already adding more on to the stress of having my mom almost pass away from a coma, diabetic coma, I should say. And so after that, I just said, you know what? I'm just going to start retaliating, fighting back. And so I remember the first fight I got into was the fight, where the guy told, another guy, hey, I'm going to give you, I don't remember how much he told him. I think he gave him like $10 and said, hey, if you go pick on him and mess with him about his clothes and stuff and harass him, then I'll give you $10. Now the guy did it because, again, we're in 7th grade. To us, $10 looked like a lot of money, but nowadays it's just like, okay, it's $10, woohoo. But I remember we got into a fight, and then I remember the next fight ended up happening because I thought this girl was looking at me and she wasn't, and then the guy went over and embarrassed me, and then of course, he was always messing with me and picking on me anyway, so I hit him and said, okay, I said, I got to take care of this, and then I remember the last fight that I really, really got into was with another guy over a female. Now this time, it had nothing to do with necessarily bullying, but of course at the time I wanted to fit in with my peers. I wanted to look cool and everything, so I had to assert my dominance and stand up to him and everything. When in reality, I was just like, look, You can say what you want to me. It doesn't matter. I'm not interested in her no more. You guys can talk crap all about me. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, I know who I am and I know it's not true. But wanting to fit in and having that mentality of being bullied and wanting to just fit in so everybody would like me and so that nobody would like mess with me or talk bad about me, and they would just accept everything that would come from me. That's what I did. So that's the lie I grew up on, and it still affects me to this day, because I still to this day have issues when people call me Oreo and people mess with me about my clothes. You know, they think it doesn't bother me. They think, oh, it's just innocent fun, but it really does bother me. You know, it's like my former youth pastor, Rick, when he was the youth pastor at Destiny Church where I served, he used to talk about sarcasm and how, you know, we're being sarcastic, but what we're really doing is leaving scars on people. And I have so many scars from people who are thinking they're just messing with me and being sarcastic. It really does hurt. And even going on to the lines of cyberbullying, I remember the biggest time I've ever been cyberbullied is when I first released my first studio single. I remember my buddy DeAndre had brought me to the studio. I had met up with my friend Laree. And I remember we had did this song called Dreamin'. And I remember I thought it was great at the time. I thought it was awesome. You know, it had me rapping on there. It had Logan Chapman singing on the chorus. Then Laree did her verse. I thought it was real good. I even performed it on stage a few times at the fair, you know, when I was signing my recording contract at that time. But I remember when I released that online, how much bullying and how much hate I got for it. I remember I had people talking so much crap about me and so much trash. Oh, he sucks. Or he needs to die. Or this is awful, man. You need to go back to school. Or he was awful, but the singing was good. Or this. And I remember it got so bad to where every time I would put something out, whether it was something I did from the studio, something I did at my house, every time I would put something out, I would always have the same group of guys that would mess with me and bully me. And even if the song was flawless, like to the T flawless, somehow flawless, and it was good and everybody else was loving it, there would always be that one group of people that would always mess with me and talk bad about me. And so I don't even know what happened to this group of guys, because after a while I just blocked them all and said, you know what, you know, God's got a plan and a purpose, and I know He's works everything out together for my good. So I'm not gonna let the negativity you're spewing out affect the positivity that I'm trying to spew out from me. But I remember, you know, it just the feeling, you know, I know what some of these artists go through when they get called gay and when they get called where they say you suck and you can't do this and you can't do that. It really does hurt, and it really does affect people. And again, we as individuals and we as people, we don't tend to think about what we say. We live in a generation now where we say what's on our mind. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, but a lot of times we just say things that are on our mind and it hurts people's feelings. And you've seen the trending of keyboard warriors and cyberbullying and bullying in general. We've seen what it's gone to now. It's gotten so bad to where you have teenagers committing suicide, drinking themselves to death, leading to early onset addictions, getting guns and retaliating and shooting up schools. This is what bullying and cyberbullying and keyboard warriors have done to our society. And it's really affecting our society in a negative way. But I just know there's still hope within all of this. I know God still has a plan and a purpose for this entire generation. And I just pray that, you know, if you're being bullied, you know, you don't have to take that. I mean, tell somebody about it, and nobody will listen to it. You know, find ways to keep your mind preoccupied. If somebody wants to bully you, love them anyway. But again, try to get yourself away from that person. And also, if your friends are messing with you about your clothes and they claim, oh, it's just to help you out or something, there's a way to go about helping people, and there's also a way to go about just blatantly making fun of people and acting like it's really helping them. We have got to do better again as a generation, to where we need to stop being keyboard warriors. And a lot of you are probably like, what is a keyboard warrior? A keyboard warrior is somebody who sits behind a keyboard and bullies people online. We've since dubbed them keyboard warriors, because again, they think that it's great warriors who just bash people on the internet. And I will say, some people open themselves up for being bashed. I know for me, I'm probably going to get a lot of hate and a lot of negative comments about this, saying, oh, suck it up, oh, be a man and everything. But again, bullying is just something that really affects all of us. And then with the issue of keyboard warriors, it's even worse. I mean, I remember a time where anybody could sign up for YouTube and just post their thoughts and opinions, and they didn't have to worry about someone commenting and giving them all types of hate, again, to the point where you bringing their family or your life into this, and then they feel like they need to kill themselves to relieve themselves from the stress. So first off, I want to say to anyone who's being bullied or cyberbullied or is having a hard time, again, find yourself an outlet, find yourself a positive way, to separate yourself from the negativity and separate yourself from that. I'm not saying, be a pushover. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying fighting and retaliating back against them is not going to do any good. Because let's say you do beat them up. Well, all that's going to do is just now you've become the bully, and then you're going to eventually turn into a bully. And then now you're going to bully someone else, and then they're going to fight back, and then you're going to turn back into someone who's being bullied again. And it's like a continuous cycle. The cycle has to stop. Ultimately, we need to come together as a community, as a generation, and just stop with all this negativity so much, and stop with all the bullying and hate. Look, stop trying to define people by their color. Look, just because a black person likes country music or prefers to listen to pop music, that's no reason to call them an Oreo. That's not reason to call them white. Just because a white person wants to listen to rap music and likes hip-hop, Lil Wayne and 2 Chainz and some of these other guys, that's no reason for you to call them a wigger. That's no reason for you to call them, oh, you just want to be a black, and doing this. We need to stop with all that, because all these labels and stuff are hurting our generation. It's hurting people, and all it's doing is just making things worse. So with that being said, how do you feel about this subject about being bullied? Have you been bullied in the past? Have you been cyberbullied in the past? Or have you bullied someone, whether it be online as a keyboard warrior or face-to-face? What do you think about this? I'm curious to know. Let me hear what you guys have to say about this, because this is a serious topic that I'm real passionate about. And again, I can go in more detail later on if you guys want another video going more in detail. I just wanted to give a general overview on this. But I had hinted at this as well in my movie review for Keanu, where one of the characters was struggling with identity of what it meant to be black. And again, I have to say, blacks, we face this a lot about, what does it mean to be black? How do you act black, talk black? There's not a specific way to do it. I mean, you don't have to dress like Lil Wayne or some of these other rappers. You don't have to talk like Birdman with all that southern slang. You don't have to do that. If that's just how you are and you're being yourself, you're being completely yourself, and you're being completely 100, then that's fine. But when you're trying to specifically trying to fit a specific group and you're trying to do this, at the end of the day, all you're doing is you're going to lose your true identity. Take it from me. I lost my true identity for years upon years upon years because I was trying to fit in, and I was trying to be quote unquote black and try to fit in with everybody. And all that really does, again, it's you're losing your identity to who you really are. I know for me, I'm still trying to find myself, because a lot of the things that I went through, growing up as a child, still affect me to this day. People always ask me, why do you have so many shoes and so many colors? Because growing up, I used to get picked on a lot about how my clothes didn't match my shoes, or how my shoes didn't match my belt. So at one point, I had every single colored belt, and I had every single colored pair of tennis shoes. That way people wouldn't pick on me about that anymore. Well, why do you have all these, different styles of jeans? Because I used to get picked on about, oh, your jeans need to look like this. They need to put a little do this. You need to put a little sag in there. Everything that I got picked on still affects me to this day. The way I dress, the way I talk, the way I present myself, the way I just do things in life. I'm still affected by my childhood, and they can still affect me to this day. And the same can be said about other people. But again, I'm curious to know if you're going through the similar situation where you're trying to find yourself, You've long since forgotten your true identity because you're trying to keep up with people. They've been bullying you and picking on you. And again, there's a way to fight back without physically having to fight back. Find yourself a good group of friends that truly have your best interest at heart and that care about you. Because your friends are always going to be there. Your true friends are always going to be there for you. And of course, ultimately, make sure you're drawing yourself closer to Christ as well. Because Christ is, at the end of the day, is going to be the ultimate best friend you can have, because he's never going to leave your side. And he loves you for who you are. He loves you for who you are. You don't have to change yourself or try to tailor-made or fit yourself just so you can fit in, because Christ loves you as you are. He accepts you who you are. So you don't have to worry about all that BS and all that drama and that negativity that comes along with trying to fit in. But with that being said, guys, I want to thank you so much for checking out this video. If you liked the video, please make sure you hit the like button. Give it a smash. It really helps out my channel a lot. I'm so sorry that I haven't been having many Testify Talks lately. I definitely want to do more of these. If this is a subject you guys want me to come back and revisit again, let me know in the comment section below. I'll also, in the description, I'll make sure that I post a link to Canadian Gamer Girl's video where she delved into her past and she talked about how she was affected by bullying. I'll also link you a channel, link in the description, Geekdom's channel. He's made tons and tons of speakdoms about this, about keyboard warriors and how it's affected him. And again, I just wanted to give my own little take on this and just give a brief general overview about my experiences with being bullied and cyberbullied and how it affected me to this day. Again, going back over into exactly how it affected me to this day. To this day, I'm still, having to buy shoes to match my shirt completely because I don't want people to talk about me and get picked on. I still have to make sure that I listen to certain music, and then I have to do this. People won't call me an Oreo. I have to make sure I talk a certain way and dress a certain way, even walk a certain way, and hang out with a specific group of people so I can still fit in, and so people won't bully me and pick at me about it and call me Oreo, inside Oreo, and other little hurtful words that are just a little too explicit to say on this channel. But again, thank you so much for checking out this video. I hope you all have a blessed day. And again, I'm Testify to the Music, aka Mikey Savage 21, saying peace out.